is to look at ANAMBRA governorship election and with the suspension of collation, well, INEC declaring the election inconclusive, all right? One party already coasting with about 17 local governments in the kitty or so. Two other parties have one local government each. And then we'll hear Ihiala is the source of the problem, so to speak. Anyway, that's by the way. I'd like to thank our panelists for joining me on the conversation. Christopher Ojikere, thank you for coming. Chris was here with us on Saturday when we did the live studio analysis on the election, and it was quite interesting, the feedback that were coming. Thank you for coming again. Dr. Lugar Sado, it's always a delight to have you here to bring your perspective to bear on issues of this nature. Well, Chris, let me start with you because you were here on Saturday. Did you in any way anticipate this? In fact, I don't like saying it. I don't like saying it, but we're here with it and it's here with us. ANAMBRA election declared inconclusive. Yeah, what do you make of this? Did you anticipate this?
Frankly, I didn't anticipate that if it was going to be inconclusive, it was going to be as a result of the fact that they couldn't, finish on one day. I had thought that the longest I would expect was that by Sunday evening, all things concerning Anambra election would have been wrapped up. So, but be that as it may, I would rather that it's inconclusive and it does not snowball into arguments and court cases, and that the final election is virtually done on Tuesday and results announced. And the reason why I have that serenity of mind is because of this innovation that INEC has brought into it. We are looking at the result right there on the board, and we have seen the result for ourselves. We know figures, we know arithmetic. So that whatever is going to happen now is to fulfill all political protocol, electionary protocol, and then the results will be added to the results we already have. So the fact that there's that transparency and people can see results, unlike in those days when they say a result is inconclusive, you are not even seeing the one that has been counted. Everything remains inconclusive. Now you can count and you can see, so you can fairly assess your position. If you are the person who didn't win, I don't want to use the word loser because you contested at all, you are a winner, but you are the person who didn't come first position. You are preparing your psychology to be able to wait for the final announcement. And if you are the person who came first position and who is likely not to be upset because of the results that have been revealed, you are also preparing yourself to be magnanimous with victory and to carry everybody along when it's eventually announced. So the citizens themselves have their anxieties, assuaged because they are seeing the results and they have seen the elections, they have seen the processes, and so they are happy. So, so to say that INEC is forgiving, even if they have not concluded the election.
All right, Dr. Sado, I'd like you to lap up on this this inconclusive status of the ANAMBRA election. I mean, it really wouldn't change anything. Like you said, this is just fulfilling all constitutional righteousness, so to put it. You subscribe to this?
Yes, I do. I totally subscribe to this, and I think that why some of us are not happy with that particular term in our political space, inconclusive. I thought that by now we should have overcome every element of inconclusiveness in our elections, but it has played out again. But I must state that I wasn't expecting the election to be this nice, to be this friendly, and to be this smooth because of the peculiarity of Anambra State and the issues surrounding IPOB and the federal government. And to think that we have reached this point, I mean, Tuesday will not kill us. That's the truth. If they had said that the elections will continue in a month's time, I'm sure we will still keep our house together and expect that everything will naturally take its course. One thing I want to commend INEC about, just like my colleague here has said, is the transparency with which this election results in particular, let me be very specific, has been conducted. Like he said, the elections are right there before the entire world, and there will be little or nothing anybody can do about it. So when they declared that it was inconclusive, I think that nobody is angry. Nobody is taken aback. It's only those who feel that they have won already who may feel a little sense of why delay our celebration. Because no matter what happens in Iyala, for example, well, let me not preempt them. I think that Nigerians already know, and Nigerians already know where the election has tilted to. So kudos to ANAMBRA people for conducting themselves well, and for those who dared the odds to come out and vote, I think that they have done well for democracy.
Okay. We saw, we didn't hear of card readers this time. We started hearing of beavers. Yes, so I don't know what to make of this. Is this an innovation?
It's an innovation.
It's an improvement.
Innovation that was supposed to improve on the card reader, because the card reader will only take your fingerprint, but beavers will take both your fingerprints and your facial impression.
Recognition, yeah.
Yes, recognition.
Okay.
And you know, the machine itself was more, if you like, savvy. You know, you have the little tablet with which they. So, but I think like every technology when it's introduced, and INEC was a bit proactive too. You know, they already had, you know, they anticipated this because it was just being tested, and they anticipated that there could be, you know, hitches and hiccups, and they already had alternatives. But I must say that we would like to continue to see improvement in that direction, because never forget that they were just dealing with the states.
Yeah.
In 2023, they will be dealing with the entire country. So the technology has to be seamless and smooth, and all this kind of hiccup has to be reduced to the minimum, you know, level, so that whatever the situation to quickly be addressed on the field there, because tensions are going to be a lot higher, you know, with that kind of elections and all that. So. But that it's an innovation itself, you know, it's very exciting. It's an innovation, and it's working well. Where it captured, you know, I mean, it was a bit embarrassing that Soludo had to wait for 5 hours
to vote,
to vote and to lead. So, but you know, it's an innovation. I'm happy with it. So that's what it is.
Okay.
It's not bimodal voters.
Yes, biometric voter accreditation system, BVAS. That's a new innovation by INEC in the electoral process, beginning with ANAMBRA governorship election. We hope to see that this will be expanded to other elections in the days to come. Let's talk about some of the things that characterize this election, you know, that put some fears in the minds of people. But all of those fears disappeared when IPOB changed their minds about this election. Whether you like it or not, that seems to be a government in a sense in that state. Give us your perspectives.
Well, I think, I mean, it would appear to me that IPOB listened to us on this platform, where we shared our opinions and views last week and 2 weeks ago on the need for IPOB to relax and allow the Anambarians to have a say in who governs them. And I must commend them for deciding to take the path of peace, and then to give room for dialogue and negotiation, since they said that they interacted with their elders and they've advised them and they've decided to take the advice given to them. Now, it would appear that IPOB gave us an escape route from the tension that was building up. Of course, the federal government was not going to sit back and allow IPOB to have its way. And so we were already anticipating heightened violence, to the extent that over 45,000 law enforcement agents, the police, the army, and all the others inclusive, and of course not to talk of the plainclothes detectives who were already in Anambra State, just trying to make sure that there was law and order. Now, what played that even after IPOB had relaxed their rules and encouraged the Anambarians to come out to vote is a further representation that the people are scared of the IPOB, I don't want to say militia, or the IPOB militant groups. Because despite the fact that IPOB had said there will be no molestation, in fact, they dissociated themselves with any form of violence that may erupt, and they said if anyone did it, it will not be in the name of IPOB. Yet, the people of Anambra, majority of them sat back. In some polling units, there was no voter. In some polling units, electoral materials were not deployed, because according to the resident electoral commissioner of Anambra State, he said that even the transport system organization they made, at the very brink of time, they declined, that they were no longer certain of their security and safety, and so they refused to provide the logistics that they had made the arrangements for. So all of these played out such that, like the resident electoral commissioner said yesterday, in a world of about 15,000 persons, only about 1,080 came out to register. And out of that, barely 800 voted. How do you make sense out of that? That means that the voter appetite was high. Yeah. And it was not unexpected. I mean, it is a person who is alive that we see the results. And so to be threatened that if you don't comply with our resolution, violence, in fact, you may risk your life. Having said that, I think that what played out in Anambra State is a reflection of what is playing out in some areas in Nigeria where we have pockets of rebels. I'm using the term rebels with some connotations to show that there are certain elements who try to govern their area and their location, so making it look like the federal government or the state government is not in charge. It's not peculiar to Anambra State. We have it in the northeast, we have it in the north central, we have it in the northwest. What that means is that the issues raised by IPOB should not be wished away by the federal government. There is need for the federal government to engage the people across ethnic nationalities, across political divides, across religious divides, because if this continues, and you know it's only Anambra now, imagine if we have pockets of IPOB across the 36 states in Nigeria. We barely, the Nigerian army is about 200 and something thousand. It cannot deal with massive unrest if it decides to occur across the 36 states, including Abuja. What that means is that government knows what to do. And what is it? Government should engage the people. There are issues raised by IPOB. This is the time, after these elections, for government to engage IPOB. Because Anambra is just one of the 5 states in the southeast. There are several others. I don't want to talk about the bandits, Boko Haram, and all the others who have their issues, who have become terrorists. I think that government should engage IPOB and find a way to resolve the issues that they are provided. And one of such ways is to engage Nnamdi Kanu, who is currently in detention and of course is undergoing prosecution. I think that the followers of Nnamdi Kanu are all manifesting in the name of IPOB. And to think that even the political elites of the southeast, who you would think will dissociate themselves with IPOB, are throwing their weight behind them, that makes it massive. That makes it a little bit, I don't want to use that term, but I think that the government needs to engage the people so that we can have a way out to avoid calamity.
And just to add to what you said, I read this morning on the papers that in Sokoto State, bandits installed village heads in some communities and reopened a supposed closed market. That's you know, those are ungoverned spaces that have been taken over by these guys, and something needs to be done. But let me bring Chris in. Going forward, because IPOB withdrew their sit-at-home order, that's literally paved the way for all that we're talking about in terms of the outcome of the election. But going forward, I'd like you to lap up on some of the things that he said. Is this a tacit change of heart on the part of IPOB towards the agitation, or well, they listen to pressure, and perhaps, like someone said, if they hadn't allowed the election to take place, a winner would have emerged, perhaps not the one that resonates with the people or resonates with IPOB, as it were?
Now, Don Okupe provided a very intelligent insight, which, if I were the federal government, I would think about and explore it further. He said the fact that IPOB listened to the appeals of Nigerians and changed its mind proves that IPOB is not a terrorist group. We must, first of all, before we continue with the going forward, completely declassify groups that are agitating legitimately for freedom from oppression, for freedom from marginalization, for determinism for self-government, and all other legitimate internationally recognized issues, from bandits and terrorists who just come in to kill everybody, Muslims and Christians alike, from what do you call it, terrorist headers who go into our forests to kill our people and depopulate the South especially. We must separate them. Now, IPOB, as he said, has started to win sympathies from even the elite class. We said it that last time we were here, that IPOB has now mutated into an ideology. It is not Nnamdi Kanu those people are, rallying around. They are rallying around the elitist ideology that self-determination is an enshrined, internationally accepted article in the United Nations Charter. That's what they are rallying around. And they are also saying that how a country deals with proposals for self-determination they are stipulated, and they are also internationally agreed according to international treaties and international conventions. And that our government is not respecting any of this. And our government has to respect this so as to have the right approach, the best approach, the legitimate approach to listening to dissenting groups, legitimately dissenting groups within the society. I have said earlier in this studio that IPOB didn't start as a gun-toting organization. They started as a voice in the radio. If that voice in the radio was invited at that time, many people would not even have known Nnamdi Kanu by face. The government would probably have finished his discussion with Nnamdi Kanu behind the scene. Now, by the time he became publicly known on television and everywhere, there was still enough time to do so. And as he said, there is still time to do so. He's right there now with them in their custody. He can be asked to nominate those who he wants to sit with him, and the government delegation will be on the other side. Twitter banned Nigerians from participating in Twitter. The government almost sent the entire cabinet to the US to go and discuss with an organization. Twitter is not an American government. Twitter is not American government. Twitter is an organization. It's a social media organization, what do you call it, internet organization. They went to discuss with the CEO and the delegation of Twitters. But you have people in your own country who are disaggrieved, and you are not sitting down to discuss with them. You think it is demeaning. Now, what you thought was demeaning has snowballed into you losing so much reputation, because they had banked on the fact that IPOB was going to resist. Mm-hmm. So you send in your entire Nigerian army to one state, and then both IPOB and non-IPOB, everybody you see on the street that looks like a male wearing trousers, you bring down. And then the army will be congratulated for doing a very gallant work under different crocodile names and so on and so forth, that they're Python or whatever names that they use. Now, that is the language the government of the day seem to understand in how to engage its citizens. So the elite of the Southeast are saying there are acceptable ways of engaging your citizens, and they are even legal and they are legitimate. Now, employ these ways and you will get results. They cannot run away from the fact that IPOB's announcement is singularly responsible for what we are having, by the calculation we have on the board now, probably over 200,000 voters coming out to vote on that day. They will not have got 20,000 votes in Anambra State if IPOB did not make that singular announcement. So IPOB has now become a force willy-nilly in Anambra State. We should listen and discuss with them.
Okay. Thank you again, Chris, for those very deep perspectives that you brought to bear in the election. We're a bit limited in terms of the depth of our conversations today on the show, because we're still waiting for INEC to conclude the collation and announcement of the remaining local government areas yet to be announced as far as the election is concerned. But so far so good. Soludo and his party seems to be on the path of victory if we look at the local government that have been announced so far. But we will keep our fingers crossed until INEC makes that final pronouncement. But I'm just looking at something that struck me, trying to read through the profiles of the major actors, or some of them really. It was so interesting to see. I mean, former CBN governor. So interesting to see a former managing director of Transcorp and the likes. I mean, and then you just ask the question, why is it that we're a country blessed with this quality of personalities, but when it comes to occupying exalted positions like this, we usually don't end up with the best of the best. Let me start with you, Doc, because you are an academician. Soludo, for example, is coming from that bag, and a host of others in that election.
It's the issue of political participation that we have talked about. I think that the political orientation of Nigerians needs to be reworked. The understanding is that politics is a dirty game, and only dirty people should play it. Politics is for touts. Politics is for tyrants. Politics is for warlords. It has a way of, if you like, disenfranchising those who have the wherewithal to contribute to political development in our space. So what you find out, what you saw in Anambra State is a reflection of the willingness of the elites, willingness of those who feel that, look, we can engage in this wrestling, and let the people decide. But let's bring to the table what we have to offer to the people to help take our state out of the woods. I like the debate, for example, between the APGA, the APC, the YPP guy, and the PDP guy. I like the outcome. I like the fact that they had the opportunity to sell themselves to the Anambarians. And, you know, if debates are anything to go by, I think that debate was a settler as far as that election was concerned, in my own opinion. Listening to people canvassing for your votes and not just, you know, insulting the opponent, telling the opponent how stupid the opponent is. And no, what do you have to bring to the drawing board? Now, back to the issue you raised. I think that ANAMBRA has set the pace for Nigeria, and by producing, you know, some of the brightest minds. What remains is to escalate this at the federal level. Escalate this because we have a situation at the federal level where those who we think are qualified to be president in Nigeria are those who can't boast of, who we really are not proud of. Let me put it that way. So, having said that, I think that what the Anambarians have done, especially the political parties, they helped us in projecting some of their best. I'm not saying that these calibers are the best that they have in Anambra State, but somehow, a former CBN governor who literally transformed the economic and the financial space in Nigeria, who brought about several banking reforms in Nigeria, coming to contest for position, former group manager director of Transcorp, coming to look, I have something that I want to add. He's done it both at the international level and at the national level. I think that they did very well by projecting themselves. Now, the Anambarians have decided, whoever wins, whatever the outcome of this election becomes, I think that those who contested have written their names in gold. And somehow, whoever wins should be magnanimous, because these are some of the best brains that you have around. Extend hands of fellowship to them. Let them bring in their ideas and see how they can galvanize these ideas together to build a strong Anambra State. I like what the governor of Ebonyi State is doing. You know, some pundits have argued that he's about the best performing governor, especially in the South, if not in Nigeria. Why? Because of his ideas of transformation, of infrastructural development, of people development, of introducing government processes. Because what we lack in Nigeria is the absence of processes. We talk about infrastructures, we talk about structures, but the processes are not seamless. And I hear that in Ebonyi State, we now have some forms of seamless processes across the various ministries and the departments you have in Ebonyi State. And that is bringing about, if you like, improvement in standard of living and enhanced results. So I expect that whoever wins, assuming it is Soludo, for example, the transformation he brought through to Nigeria through the CBN should be repeated or replicated in Anambra State. Okay. For example, Onitsha Market, it should be digitalized. You know, things like those Aba elements, the Oka elements that, look, transform Anambra State and make it a small Japan in Africa. Fantastic. That's my take.
Fantastic. You want to add something to that, Chris?
Yeah, it's very interesting, because I was just thinking of the trajectory of succession in Anambra State. Now, this is the fourth consecutive banker
coming on board.
Yes, coming on board. The Soludo is announced on Tuesday, from Peter Obi down to Soludo. And then I was thinking of his profile, that you referred to. We are talking of somebody who had been visiting professors to Oxford, Cambridge, almost all the top universities in the world. But he got, and is a visiting scholar to IMF, to the World Bank, And he got his 3 degrees in Nigeria, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So he is a product of Anambra State. University of Nigeria, Nsukka is in Anambra State. Or is it in Enugu State now? It's in Anambra State. He is a product, born, bred, educated in Anambra. And now he is sitting on top of that state to preside over the state. He has no excuse to fail. His antecedents, his competencies in his antecedents, which he has referred to when he was there as the governor of CBN, it was a daring decision. And he was fortunate to have an Obasanjo who could also take risk to sit down to say you are going to recapitalize the bank. 25 billion, and he gave timelines. If you didn't meet it, you merge. If you cannot merge, you liquidate. Yes. You go under straight away. And he achieved it. If he brought the same kind of attitude to governing Anambra State, then we expect to see the kind of thing here that he was referring to.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, it's the TMI Monday, talking about Anambra State governorship election. So far, we've been told collation of results suspended, and we're hoping to see the rescheduled election tomorrow in Ihiala local government. And that brings a question. So what exactly transpired in Ihiala that the election has to be conducted there? Let me start with you. Do you have an idea, Chris?
I think they said they just couldn't complete the election. I didn't understand why they couldn't complete the election. Maybe if we have, that would have, I would be apprised of that detailed information. But I don't know why, because Ihiala is not far away from Onitsha.
Okay.
It's a metropolitan city. I don't see why they shouldn't have concluded the election in Ihiala.
Okay, so we just keep our fingers crossed and hope the best comes forth ultimately.
About Soludo.
Yes.
I wanted to advise him using this medium. The Southeast right now is in a state of disarray. While they are rallying around IPOB, Nigeria would rather that they don't rally around that ideology of Biafra, but the ideology of Nigerianization. A full integration into the Nigerian state, assuming we decide to stay together. They would need leaders who would coordinate that, the Southeast, into that into that integration. People like Soludo have now been given a public office, not an appointed one. He's now elected by the people. He has tasted democracy, 2-3 successions, and it's not there. He should use Anambra as a demonstration of taking that leadership and, getting men around him, as he said just now. Many people have been exposed to him in his own state and, of course, from other states. Getting men around him to be able to provide that political front from the Southeast that would play in Nigeria. Because we don't want secessions in Nigeria. What we want is decentralization. We want restructuring. We don't want secession. We want regions to remain strong and then produce their best, brains, technology, and whatever. And then we have a weak center where we all contribute to, and then let the center take care of all the national things like army, the monetary issues, and all of that. While we have regions, so that we have healthy competition in the various zones, and then Nigeria as a country is greater for it, like we have in the United States of America. So, and to be able to bring these arguments to the table, to the center to argue forcefully, you need strong men in every region who are fit and competent to be able to do this. And I think Soludo has just got the opportunity now. Okay. If he minds on Tuesday.
All right. So what are your final thoughts as we call it a wrap, Dr. Lugard?
Well, let me congratulate Nigeria for overcoming the negative prophecies of doom and war that the prophets, the political prophets anticipated based on the Anambra elections. Contrary to our fears, the elections have come and are almost gone, and there's peace in Nigeria and there's peace in Anambra State. We must congratulate IPOB for doing the needful, and the federal government must at this point in time engage IPOB, dialogue with them, discuss with their key leaders, and see how we can integrate them, just like my colleague has said, into the Nigerian state. However, it's not a do-or-die affair that Nigeria must remain one. We must state that if it is not working and there's need for us to go our separate ways, we should do that on the dialogue table and not on the war front. Finally, I think that whoever emerges in the ANAMBRA election by Tuesday, hopefully, I hope that the counting will not dovetail to Wednesday or Thursday. But whoever emerges as the governor, I want the person to ensure that the ANAMBRA people who have reposed their confidence in him are not disappointed. It should not be business as usual. This is the time to set a new template for Anambra State and help create a better Southeast. Don't forget that Anambra is like the commercial nerve center of the Southeast. I don't want to say Nigeria now, since Lagos has been given that appellation. But the truth is that a lot of things revolves in Anambra State. Yeah. And if we get it right, it will be good for Africa.
All right. Thank you very much, Christopher Ojekri. Thank you for your time. Dr. Lugasado, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir.
We'll take another break. We'll be back with a couple of interviews. Don't go away. Stay TMI Monday. Stay with us.